Hey guys, I'm Megan and I am super excited because today I get to introduce my new channel, Film Freaks, where I offer my movie suggestions, count down moments like scariest, funniest, most outrageous, and offer some behind the scenes trivia. Today I'm kicking things off by giving you 3 of my favorite, most original horror films that have come out within the last 10 years. Number 1, Hereditary. Hereditary stars Toni Collette, Gabriel Byrne, Alex Wolff, and Millie Shapiro as a family mourning the loss of their maternal grandmother. The mother and daughter begin to dabble in the supernatural, never a good idea, as a way of managing their grief, and in the process begin having menacing supernatural experiences that are connected to the family's emotional trauma that's been passed down through generations. Now, this film does take on elements of classic movies, specifically Rosemary's Baby. However, I have never seen anything quite like this. I think maybe because the family trauma on screen is so palpable, it almost becomes uncomfortable to watch. When you splice that with supernatural elements, it becomes this family drama horror movie. This is one of those movies that will just get under your skin and stay there for a while. It absolutely lingers. There's certain images, specifically at the end, there's a scene with Toni Collette and Alex Wolff. I'm not gonna tell you what happens. If you've seen this and you know what I'm talking about, definitely let me know in the comments. But it's one of those scenes that when you're watching it, you're gonna be like, oh my God, what's happening? But when you're about to go to sleep later that night, that's when you're gonna sit there and think, oh my God, what did you watch? It stays with you. Interesting fact, Toni Collette was actually not trying to do horror at the time. If you remember, she had already played the mom in The Sixth Sense and Krampus, both awesome movies, but she wanted to do something a little bit different. However, when she read this script, she thought it was so unique, she had to be part of it. All right, number 2, Antlers. Frank Weaver, the father of Aiden and his older brother Lucas, runs a meth lab in an abandoned mine. While inside, he and his partner are attacked by an unseen entity as Aiden waits for him in his truck. When Aiden hears the scuffle, he goes in to investigate and is also attacked. Frank and Aiden both survive but become increasingly unwell as the days go on. After their condition continues to get worse, Frank barricades himself and Aiden inside a locked room and makes Lucas promise that no matter what, he will not open the door. Okay, I could not wait for this one to come out. I think it got delayed for a while because of COVID. However, when it did finally come out, I was not disappointed. Guillermo del Toro produced it. I absolutely love Guillermo del Toro. His films are just amazing. The monsters that he creates are just beautiful. It was absolutely incredible. Plus, they did not use CGI, which I love. I hate CGI, especially for horror films. I just think it's awful. This movie not only looked amazing, but the story was absolutely incredible. The actor that played Lucas, I believe his name is Jeremy T. Thomas, was absolutely incredible. You could just see the sadness and loneliness in his eyes throughout the entire film. I feel like he should have won so many awards for this movie. I think it is so cool that this story is centered around the Wendigo, a monster and folklore that I think most people have heard of, but I know I've never seen it captured on screen like this. I would definitely check this one out. And interestingly, this is actually based on a short story called The Quiet Boy, written by Nick Antosca, who is the screenwriter for Antlers. Nick Antosca was also the creator of Channel Zero. It was an anthology series on sci-fi. Think Outer Limits meets Twilight Zone meets Tales from the Crypt. So very cool. All right, number 3, and I think possibly my favorite, The Autopsy of Jane Doe. A father and son who work together as coroners are tasked with determining the cause of death of a Jane Doe who was found buried in a basement of a murdered couple. What would be an otherwise normal evening becomes an increasingly terrifying supernatural experience as they get closer to finding out what happened to her. So I actually just watched this film again the other day and fell in love with it all over again. I think this is probably the most original horror film that has come out within the last 10 years or so. The entire film is pretty much set in the morgue, which kind of feels claustrophobic and isolating. And you know, I'm fine in an elevator, but for some reason watching this film, it was just like, oh my God, I can't move, I can't get out. It just made me feel so uncomfortable. There are little subtleties throughout the film that I think I noticed more the second time around than I did the first. For instance, the close-ups on Jane Doe's face. Her expression does not change at all throughout the entire movie. I mean, she's dead on the table. However, depending on how the camera sits on her face, will absolutely heighten the fear in the room. There's also the radio that's being played in the room. there's a broadcast that comes out over the radio basically warning them to stop what they're doing without specifically telling them to stop what they're doing. So it's these little subtleties throughout the film that are just absolutely incredible. They add a more frightening tone to the film, but then when you add to that a really solid storyline and solid acting, you cannot go wrong. It is a really great film and absolutely terrifying. So side note, I watched a Q&A with the actors who played the father and son, as well as the director, and they just had the most amazing things to say about the actress who played Jane Doe, specifically about her ability to do what's known as shallow breathing, because it truly made her look like she was dead on the table. So they didn't really have to use a dummy. I think the director said he only used a dummy maybe 20% of the time, but 80% of what you see in the film is the actors. So yeah, I would definitely give this one a watch. I think Stephen King actually said, watch it, just not alone. I would have to agree. All right, so there you have it. Those are 3 of my favorite, most original horror films that have come out within the last 10 years. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you like what you see and you want to support my channel, please go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button so you never miss a new video. Bye, film freaks.